Once you've drawn all your sections, remember you need about 15 to 20 sections in the background and inside of your animal, which is either a cat like mine here or a dog. And then you've outlined all of your lines. Then you can take a bigger Sharpie and we're going to trace around just the outside edge of the animal. This will make our animal stand out more from the background because right now we have a lot of different sections going on and we don't want our animal to get lost in all of the lines. I'm going to take my bigger Sharpie here and just go along the outside edge. That means I'm not going on the inside and I'm not doing any of the sections, just the shape of the animal on the outside. So around the legs, paws. And remember when you're using these Sharpies, they're called a chisel tip because they have two different sides. There's a thicker side, which I'm using right there. And then if you use the point, that can be thinner. But we pretty much want to use the thicker side because we want to make a bold outline around our animal to make it really stand out. The next thing we're going to do is switch to using a regular sized Sharpie or a extra fine point Sharpie, and we're going to draw some patterns inside the sections of our animal. You can use this pattern example packet for ideas. Some are a little more complicated than others, but you can use a variety of patterns to show some difference in your artwork. When we're drawing patterns, we don't want to draw too many on our cat or dog's face. That could take away from the detail of the face. So I would suggest leaving the area around the eyes and nose open. You could put a pattern if you want inside of your animal's nose, but I wouldn't do too much around the eyes or the whiskers or mouth again, because we want those areas to show up more. It's also a good idea to color in some parts of your patterns black. That will add contrast to your artwork. Like here, I colored in every other line that I made black to make that nose pattern really stand out. Now, you don't have to fill in every space with a pattern, but you should fill in about half of your sections. Then we're going to color some of them solid colors, and we're going to color over the patterns. So here I'm adding some spirals. In this triangle, I could add a pattern as well. Remember, you can use this packet for a bunch of different ideas, or you can definitely come up with your own. Here I'm using a dashed line to fill in this triangle shape on my cat's head. And you can draw these right away with your Sharpie. If you feel better drawing them with a pencil first and then outlining them, you can also do that. So again, I'm going to leave the face area open. I don't want to do a bunch of zigzags and swirly lines around there because it will take away from the detail of the face. Later, I will fill this in with a solid color. So I'm gonna focus on the patterns inside my cat, and then after you can do patterns around the background. But you can kind of skip every other section. So I have a section here inside of my collar. I'm gonna do little dots here. And if you're doing little dots, don't press really hard with your Sharpie. Just draw them with your Sharpie. We don't want to smash the tip of our Sharpie. We want to keep it nice and pointy because it will be much more fun to draw with then. So I did dots here. I'm going to leave this section open and not do a pattern. Later, I'll fill it with just a color. And then here, I am going to do a pattern. So think of like every other section. If you drew a pattern in one section, then you could skip one and then do the one that is next to that. That way we have some areas for solid colors and some areas that are patterns. Here I'm doing little hearts in this section. This area around my cat's face, I'm going to leave that open for a solid color. But here I could do a pattern, and then here just leave it open and I will add color later. I'm gonna fill in a few more patterns on my cat. Now I think I've filled in enough patterns on my cat. Remember, we can skip every other section, but we should have about half of them filled. I can move on to doing the same thing in the sections of my background. So here, maybe I'll start with wavy lines and I'll fill this entire area with those wavy lines. Remember, each section is a different pattern. So choose one pattern for that section and then you're going to repeat that throughout. That's what creates a pattern in art, a repeated line or shape. So now I have filled in that entire section. I could move on to another one. I might want to skip this one and this one, but fill in this area with a different pattern. Like I could do something like dots and then color them in. Remember, it's also good to have some patterns that are colored in black and some that are left more white. That will show contrast and give your artwork more interest. We don't want them all to be colored in black because that could take away from the details of the animal and the background. So just choose some to color in. I hope you have fun adding patterns to your Romero, Britto, cat, or dog. I can't wait to see how it turns out.